1332.
Live from Studio One, you're listening to the Two Murrays on 2UH.
I'm not sure if you watched 60 Minutes last night or not, but they ran a story on cyclists, and I've got to say it was a fairly well-balanced piece. There was footage of cyclists and drivers both doing the wrong thing. The only difference is that the drivers can be identified and the cyclists can't. Now, the assault of a bus driver in Sydney's West is still unsolved because the cyclist can't be identified, and this is one point that send drivers absolutely spare. Why shouldn't cyclists carry a rego plate? That's what drivers say, and also pay for using the road. Now, cyclists argue that the road is there to share and the drivers want them off the road because they travel too slow, they run red lights, drive the wrong way up streets, skip onto the footpaths, and the list of complaints from drivers about bicycle riders is a mile long. Cyclists want a fair go, and they argue they need more cycleways. The problem is we just don't have enough room. Only last week we spoke to business owners in the city of Sydney who have had a cycleway placed along their road by Clover Moore. Sounds good, but no one uses it, and the businesses are now losing business because no one can park their cars out the front.
Losing plenty of it too.
A hell of a lot of it. Nathan Beesh is a cyclist, and he's had enough. And you would have seen Nathan on 60 Minutes last night. We're happy to say that he joins us on the program. Good to talk to you, Nathan.
G'day, Murray. How you going?
Not too bad. How long have you been cycling? All your life?
No, I used to actually be a swimmer. I've been commuting to work for about the last 2 years, so it's sort of the first time I got on a bike since I was a little tacker.
Danger man, eh?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any solution to this problem, is there?
As I said, it really does require a little bit of patience, a lot of consideration from both people. I mean, as cyclists, we consider ourselves a group of people, and to say that cyclists don't break the laws is just not true. I mean, motorists, they break the laws too. You've got DUIs, you've got crashes, you've got speeding, so no one's immune, and no one's saying, we're golden children, but it's definitely just the risks and the effect of, if things do go wrong, what happens.
The thing is, I think, looking from your point of view, cyclists earn themselves a bad name by jumping in the queue, by cutting red lights, by whizzing across in front of cars. I mean, I'd be for the rest of my life, I would carry that. If I knocked a cyclist over and killed him or her, God forbid, through no fault of my own.
No, absolutely. And as I said, we don't refute that happens. But does every DUI motorist, give motorists a bad name? Of course not. They're just bad motorists and road users. It's the same for cyclists. And we hate those cyclists that are running the red lights more than the motorists because they're giving us a bad name, they're getting away with it, and we're copping a flack for the next couple of weeks because of it. So we're suffering as much as the motorists here, if not more.
Okay, well, let's get down to 10 tax. So you guys can get rid of the bad eggs that you've got in your bunch. Why don't we put regos on all push bikes that are in the city? Yeah,
definitely a very heated debate there. I don't think there's many cyclists that are against being identified.
I reckon.
And obviously those ones that have something to hide. Now, I believe it was the South Australian government that looked at this, and their decision was that the feasibility and the cost of implementing a system would not be beneficial. Now, I'm not too sure exactly in which ways they were talking about, but in terms of society, they said it wasn't going to be feasible, and it would actually take money away from roads. Registration doesn't build the roads. That's probably one of the most misconceived points that's out there. It's the tax system, which cyclists, pedestrians use as well. I mean, a pedestrian uses a footpath. They don't have number plates. They don't pay for the footpath. Let's get them off too.
But sadly, too many cyclists are using footpaths and bowling over pedestrians.
According to who, sorry?
Well, just according to all the stats around the city of Sydney will tell you, people stepping out onto the pavement, kaboom, they're cleaned up oftentimes by couriers who are whizzing along in total breach of all the road rules. They shouldn't be on a footpath.
Absolutely.
And I realise it's pretty bloody dangerous to be out on the main carriageway as well.
Yeah.
There's got to
not
be
so much.
Really?
Victorian Police did a crackdown start of previous year, 2009. 390 fines were handed to pedestrians, 330 to cars, 90 to motorcyclists, and 72 to cyclists.
Yeah, but there's a lot less cyclists on the road than there are cars.
What you're portraying is not true.
Yeah, but Nathan, there's a lot less cyclists on the road than there are cars. So of course those stats are going to be the way that they're set up.
As a percentage, more cyclists obey the rules than the cars were, as a percentage. They took that into account, and they were the figures.
So we're not decided either way on registration. What about licensing cyclists to be on the road?
In terms of actually having to pass a test,
Yeah.
we're all for it.
You're all for it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you're on the road, you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting other people at risk. Why don't you want to be educated?
So when you say we're all for it, who are you representing?
A lot of the cyclists I speak to.
Right.
And obviously not everyone, but a lot of the cyclists, we speak together on forums. We're for being identified because we've got nothing to hide. We're there obeying all the road rules, and we want to get rid of this misconception that, we all run red lights. I mean, that's also, you've got a dim view of your fellow man if you think that they will just disobey every rule if they get a chance.
It's too simplistic to say that.
But I mean, that's what you're saying, is saying that we're doing this just because we can get away with it. Well, if there's no red light camera, a car could run a red light, but they don't.
Why is it that every time we speak to some sort of federation or cycling body, they always say to us, no, don't want a licence, no, we shouldn't have to do that, no, don't want to do Red Joe, but you're taking an entirely different attitude towards it?
Well, you need to look at the feasibility of it and the benefits you're going to try and get out of it. As I said, like, the debate's been huge, and everyone's saying you guys need to be identified. And we've got no problem with being identified because we're lawful road users. There's no issue with it. But the cost of that, if you're going to introduce huge cost to try and cover that, you're going to take cyclists off the road, and the impact to society in terms of health and all the other benefits is really going to impact society as a whole. And that's why the government decided it wasn't feasible to do it.
In an ideal world, they will retrofit cycleways across a busy, popular metropolis like Sydney. In an ideal world, but gee whiz, getting that ideal balance is pretty difficult, as Clover Moore is finding out to her cost.
Yeah,
a lot of people are saying,
absolutely.
you're out of your mind, Clover.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of the King Street cycle path, a lot of cyclists simply can't use it.
Why not?
A lot of the time it's full of pedestrians. There was a lot of footage that they didn't show on 60 Minutes, but it's very difficult for us to use cycle paths because pedestrians are walking down them a lot and not looking with headphones in their ears.
So what is the solution to this problem?
It needs to be a bit of an attitude adjustment. There is a lot of issues in terms of, okay, everyone quotes Amsterdam. There's shorter distances to be covered and lower speeds. It won't necessarily work.
Yep.
The best method is a separated bike path, separated from traffic and pedestrians, and more people out on bikes. Give it a try. See if it's a feasible mode of transport for short journeys, and you might be very surprised.
I can understand you wanting more bicycle ways, but can I say to you, in the city of Sydney, the way that we're choked at the moment, if there's room for another lane, they're going to put cars in it.
If you put another lane, you can fit 10 times more cycles than cars. If you put the lane in and you get the cars to start using bicycles, you might find that the problem goes away completely.
Listen, good to talk to you.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys.
All the best. Nathan Beesh, he was on 60 Minutes last night. I mean, look, I've got to be honest with you. I mean, Nathan talks a bit of common sense. I mean, every other moron we talk to about cyclists, they ring up and abuse and carry on and whinge and cry like babies.
Nice talk.
But look, he's quite sensible in what he's saying. He believes that they should be registered and they should have a licence.
You've got to be identifiable. Because that way, the idiots, and let's face it, they're idiots behind the wheel of big cars as well.
Yeah.
And those idiots, like the police on the weekend, did you see the stats? The number of speeding P-platers they caught, unbelievable.
I know.
You can identify an idiot behind the wheel of a car because of the registration plate. Why not put one on a bike?